three-party system. If you're a passionate Eurosceptic, what can you do? Peel away from the party and you're lost in the wilderness with the monster loonies. Rebel and the same fate awaits you. Force a split in the party, the lot of you go down together and you'll never be forgiven. It doesn't leave much room for manoeuvre.
Britain should be in there, making its argument, fighting for our interests.
Ambitious Eurosceptics can't afford to be heroes. Essex University's Debating Society invited their young and promising MP, Bernard Jenkin, to argue against further federalism in Europe.
But it's a very expensive way of spending money on your own countries to send it through a circuitous route, through the European community, let them skim off a bit.
But his respectable Eurosceptic credentials, he abstained on the crucial Maastricht vote, have, in the eyes of some of his young constituents, been tarnished by his failure to join the rebellious 8 on the Euro budget vote.
You've expressed your views very well this evening, but why did you not express them with your vote?
Why didn't I vote? Simply because whilst it obviously was an important issue, it's not one of the great defining issues. It wasn't a major constitutional change like the Maastricht Treaty. It was something, moreover, that the government decided was sufficiently important to them that the Prime Minister made the issue a vote of confidence. And normally, under those circumstances, you support your friends even when you think they may be wrong. That's what loyalty is all about. So I apologise if you feel I let you down, but I want to be around to fight the new agenda that's coming onto the table in 1996. I want to be able to influence the debate in the Conservative Party.
That debate, already beginning, will focus on monetary union. If, at the Intergovernmental Conference in 1996, the rest of Europe sets a date for a single currency, Britain will no longer be able to hedge its bets. The fear of many Eurosceptics is that loyal Conservatives like Bernard Jenkin will again be bounced into voting it through. If the same issue arose on a vote on EMU and it became a vote of confidence, what would you do?
I think the single currency is the real Rubicon. And if we're handing over the government of the United Kingdom to a European central bank, we're talking about the end of British politics as we know it. I think that would be the biggest issue of the lot.
So would you vote against a government and perhaps defeat that government on a vote of no confidence on EMU?
I don't anticipate it will arise.
Yes, glass of sherry. Great, dry if you got it.
Not all Eurosceptics are so confident. The Essex Conservative students' Christmas guest of honour this year was Lord Tebbit. Freer than most, perhaps, to speak his mind, he warned that 1996 will be too late. The Conservative Party leadership will be outmanoeuvred unless it draws the line now.
It is now essential that the Prime Minister reasserts his authority. But he can't do it simply by expelling anybody who disagrees with him from the party. So to that end, the Prime Minister, having given the matter due thought over Christmas, I think should make public the position he will take at the Intergovernmental Conference in 1996. And I will, if I may, outline the position that I would recommend to him. First, he should tell our partners that the common agricultural policy should be abolished.
The list went on: reduce the powers of the Commission, open up to Central Europe, and above all, John Major must say no now to monetary union. But that, Lord Tebbit acknowledges, won't be easy.
I think to some extent the Prime Minister is a prisoner of his Cabinet. And it is an extraordinary thing that the Cabinet is broadly Europhile. But certainly I think the majority is Europhile. The Parliamentary Party, I think, wants desperately to be allowed to be Eurosceptic. The Conservative voters, overwhelmingly Eurosceptic. And indeed, on the basis of every opinion poll, the country as a whole. So we've got a Cabinet which is not representative of either the Parliamentary Party or the voters. That's the real danger, and that's the real problem which faces Mr. Major.
But to his credit, he did negotiate the opt-outs. He has said he doesn't see monetary union as a realistic prospect this century or beyond. He's set out his views as distinctly anti-federalist in a number of articles and speeches. What more can you want?
Unfortunately, on the European issue, as on so many others, the government seems to be riding two horses at once, and they're going in opposite directions. The Prime Minister hints that he's opposed to a single currency, but he will not come out clearly and say that he is opposed in principle to a single currency. His Chancellor of the Exchequer says very clearly he is in favour of a single currency in principle. So what are we to believe? He says very clearly that he wants to reduce the power of the Commission, but the Maastricht Treaty increased the power of the Commission. So we're left in some form of limbo of not knowing where the government does stand.
So what would happen?
If you look at the Conservative Eurosceptics, their problem is that it would appear that they could only achieve their objective by overthrowing the Prime Minister. And if they overthrew the Prime Minister, they would probably get an even less Eurosceptic Prime Minister instead, perhaps Ken Clarke, perhaps Michael Heseltine. So they essentially are at a loss to know how to proceed tactically. It is the lack of a credible, currently available alternative Prime Minister. The aim of the rebels within the Conservative Party should be to take back control of the party. After all, those who we call rebels were the loyalists under Margaret Thatcher, and they simply lost control of the party. Their aim should be to take it back again. But to do that, you have to have a leader.
So if you're a Tory and a Eurosceptic, how to resolve this conflict and avoid chucking yourself off the next political cliff? Well, one way is to leave home and head for Europe, the real battleground. Seek out like-minded Eurosceptics and plot against their government's federal agendas rather than your own. That way you resolve the conflict between loyalty and principle and can stay a good, respectable Tory.
Redictate that proposition now, if you could please. The Spanish delegation, if they could do that.
This is virtually the only sign of any coherent, organised anti-federalist campaign among Britain's conservative Eurosceptics.
And we can start it by saying the treaties should reserve to national governments.
Sorry, can I just, on that last
Michael
point,
Spicer, a former minister, has come to Paris with a group of influential backbenchers to join with other European anti-federalists. Their plan is to draft an alternative to the Maastricht Treaty, one that would create a Europe of nation-states, which member governments could adopt in time for the IGC in 1996. Once rebels themselves when Maastricht was going through, today they're at pains to be seen as loyalists who believe that when the time comes for the British government to show its true anti-federalist colours, they'll have prepared the ground.
When the government reaches out to find some kind of alternative scenario and blueprint to the federal superstate system, we hope to be able to provide it.
I don't think we're marginal at all. I think it's a total misconception. The British government's position is absolutely